I need a motion to approve the May 18th, 2021 Health and Human Services Committee minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Third.
Okay, we have a presentation from Ashley. Oops.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you an overview of what we've done so far with the COVID-19 vaccination effort. That is a picture of our very first pod. You can see that there was a lot of people that staffed that pod. We're now running pods with about 5 staff members, so sometimes less. We have held 70 vaccine clinics to date in 18 different locations throughout the county. We have provided 4,099 first doses, 3,209 second doses. We've vaccinated 311 students, 210 of our homebound residents, 40 migrant workers, and 14 inmates. Yes.
Is that difference between the 4,000 and the 3,200 because some were Pfizer and they only needed 1 shot, or?
We've provided first doses. We haven't gotten to the second dose clinic yet.
Okay.
And some are Johnson & Johnson, and they don't require
Gotcha,
the second.
gotcha.
Are those all the inmates? Did all the inmates get vaccinated
Not all of them, no.
by choice of theirs?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So this is a breakdown by zip code of the percent of the adult population that's fully vaccinated. So they've had either 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson or 2 doses of the Moderna and 2 doses of the Pfizer. So we have concentrated efforts in the southern end of the county. We've held 2 clinics in Seville, we've held clinics in Turin, clinics in Osceola and Port Lydon. We've also, the other red area is Casterland there. We have held clinics specifically at the Casterland Fire Department as well. I do want to make note, you'll see Harrisville, Carthage, and Natural Bridge are quite high. And you'll see Fort Drum does not have a color associated. That is because the Fort Drum data is not reported to the New York State Immunization Registry. So our hub takes the data that they provide to them and distributes to zip codes based on population around Fort Drum. So that is most likely why those areas are as high as they are. This is the percent of the adult population with 1 COVID-19 vaccine here. And this is the measure that the governor has set. And actually, we've met as a state, 70% of the adult population throughout the state has received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. So the only zip code for us that is below 40% and is listed as a zip code needing improvement is the Seville zip code. And we have been there twice. And we did have fairly good participation the last time we were there, just most recently at the end of May. We had 30 people, which is pretty good. This is the vaccines by age group. I want to make note that our 15 to 19-year-olds, they're quite high for only having been eligible now for about a month for the vaccine. We've got 39% of those. We drop a little bit for the 20 to 29-year-olds. That's certainly a population we should concentrate on. The other important thing to note is we have really good coverage in our 60 and up, which we know is the population that suffers most with the COVID virus.
Ashley, is the higher number for 15 to 19 because you're right in the schools perhaps?
It could be. I think there was quite a few. When you go to school, you have a higher chance of being quarantined because we're doing contact tracing within the school where, 20 to 29-year-olds, maybe not so much. So being vaccinated prevents the quarantine, so I do think that was a strong, and we also, so it goes to 19. There was talk of the vaccine being mandated for SUNY and CUNY colleges, so that also drove people to be vaccinated as well.
Yeah, actually, it's correct too, the minors have to get parental consent, don't they?
Yes, yep, absolutely. This is the vaccines by gender here in Lewis County. Females are tending slightly more to be vaccinated. This is a progress towards the 70% goal here in the North Country. We are lagging behind a bit. We're currently at 55% of our total adult population with at least one dose of the vaccine. So we have 2,957 more people to go to meet that 70% goal. And this is up to date with the latest data. Some of our upcoming vaccination efforts, we've got the drive-through clinic, which we're providing second dose Moderna and also Johnson & Johnson at this Friday from 3 to 7 at the Louisville Fairgrounds. We also are doing a clinic that morning at the Louisville Fire Hall. That'll be again for second dose Moderna. We're going to do first dose Moderna and Johnson & Johnson at that clinic. We're continuing to work with farms and other large employers to set up clinics. We actually have a farm that we will be going out to on Friday to vaccinate more migrant workers, which is good. Continuing to vaccinate the inmates and homebound as needed as we learn about them. We have a good relationship with the jail. When they have somebody that wants the vaccine, they just call us and we work around clinics that we already have scheduled. That way we're eliminating waste as much as possible. Same thing with the homebound. And we're looking to go to large events throughout the summer. Obviously, that'll be an ideal place to catch a lot of people. Some of the other counties are doing that. Some have had success and some have not. So it's something we can try. We are looking specifically, we have a booth at the fair every year, so possibly providing vaccines there.
Would you do that every day, actually, at the fair?
Yeah, yep. And then we're going to start providing vaccines in our office by appointment. So summer is extremely busy with back to school vaccines for us. So this provides a good opportunity if they're 12 and above to offer the COVID-19 vaccine as well. So we'll be providing that in our office by appointment. We'll clump as many as we can get together.
When will you start that?
Probably towards the end of the month. So we're currently, this week, we're finishing up our second doses in the schools. We're trying to, as we finish one effort, come up with another way that the population can get vaccinated. And they always have the option of going to the pharmacies as well. Locally, Kinney's and Walmart both have the vaccine. And there's still opportunities at state vaccination sites too, but.
You still have an appointment for Kenny's, right? You just can't walk into Kenny's.
No, it's still.
You have an appointment, same with Walmart or?
Yep.
Can students get a vaccine, 2 different vaccines at the same time? Like you said, you're vaccinating students over the summer,
Like if they're doing
back
like
to school?
like an MMR and
Yeah,
that would they be.
Well, right, it wouldn't be any live vaccine, they wouldn't be able to get but most of the time, your older students aren't getting the live vaccines anyway, so yes,
they could get them both
yes,
at the same appointment.
yes. And then lastly, I just want to thank all of our volunteers. So throughout all of the 70 clinics, we've had quite a few volunteers that have helped us along the way. to keep things organized, and increase throughput. What questions do you guys have?
Do your numbers include people that might have went to like Rome, Walmart, and got it?
Yes, anybody that's been vaccinated in New York State and snowbirds that may have been vaccinated in Florida, or if they report to either their doctor or us, so we can put it in the New York State registry, or if the doctor puts it in their medical record, that data is still reflected in the data that I showed you.
But probably a lot of snowbirds have not taken that step, right?
Correct, yes.
So
There's certainly
our
been
numbers could
some,
be a lot
they
higher.
could be, yep.
And Jerry might be able to answer this question, when, any indication of when people being discharged from the hospital will be able to get it?
We would, if there was somebody who wanted it, we would work with public health. And the issue is, once you penetrate the vial, then you only have so many hours to dispense, and we don't have that level of need.
Any other questions for Ashley?
Just want to thank you, Ashley. You've done a great job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You and your team did a great job. And all the volunteers,
Thank you very much.
thank you too. Are we ready for dockets?
The first one is resolution to appropriate funds in the Office for the Aging Department accounts for additional revenue and expenditures from the American Recovery Act in the amount of $168,413.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed?
Resolution to amend Health Research, Inc., New York State Department of Health Agreement with Lewis County Public Health Agency and appropriate additional funds in the amount of $267,748.
Any questions?
What does this actually do?
This is, so last year, we were allocated additional COVID funding to cover case investigations, contact tracing, all that we do around COVID. This is an extension of that contract and an additional $267,000. So it will cover those costs.
This is free money, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Resolution to appropriate funds in the Social Services Department accounts for 2021 TANF Summer Youth Employment Program expenses in the amount of $77,760.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried.
Resolution authorizing agreement between the Lewis County Department of Social Services and Family Counseling Service of Northern New York for the purpose of conducting clinical counseling services to individuals that are referred by DSS from the period beginning June 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, with provision for annual renewals upon mutual agreement.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution authorizing agreement between the Lewis County Department of Social Services and Hand in Hand Early Childhood Center to provide daycare services for eligible recipients commencing September 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2022 at the daycare market rate established by Hand in Hand Early Childhood Center and pursuant to the DSS fair market rates established by the state.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the Lewis County Department of Social Services and Snowbout Housing Company for for the purpose of invoicing and receiving reimbursement of emergency rental assistance program expenses pursuant to New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance Funding and Requirements.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried.
And the last one is resolution authorizing a renewal agreement between the Lewis County Department of Social Services and Cornell Cooperative Extension of Lewis County to provide supportive and rehabilitative services to parents for a term commencing June 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022 at a flat fee of $500 per month per family for all clients referred by DSS with an open case, with the total amount not to exceed $61,500 per year at a local share cost of 38%.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, carried. And any questions or any comments?
I just wanted to add something. So recently someone said to me that they would rather be diagnosed with cancer than a mental illness. And that really struck me and it got me thinking that, yeah, if you put out there, or your neighbors find out that you got diagnosed with cancer, they're doing meal trains and they're, driving you to your appointments, they're starting GoFundMe. But if you hear your neighbor, oh, they were just diagnosed with depression or something, there's no meal trains for that. And, I think that just really struck me. So we discussed a little bit about doing videos, kind of the COVID videos for mental health. And so I'd like to make that motion to spend up to $5,000 for videos addressing mental health issues in our county.
Any comments?
Is that enough?
Is that enough?
No.
Is it ever enough?
So who's gonna get the 5,000? Is it gonna be public health or COVID
TLS.
issues? You're gonna give it to Pat Framework?
Okay.
So,
It's coming out of contingency, I would assume.
well, I would think that Pat Freilich has plenty of money in her budget because we cut all of her revenue and then the state restored it, so she should be flush. And I think she took off, but she should be fine. The COVID video series that we did, the first video series with the I'm Your Neighbor, We'll Get Through This Together, Wear a Mask, that was about $4,000. The second one, because we only got 3 videos with the doctors explaining the vaccine, that was $2,000. So $5,000, if we go with the same company, should be enough to make some impactful videos. The one Joe Bush video has been viewed over 40,000 times. So if you can find, if we get the right subject and you get the right audience, and it could potentially make an impact. So
Mental illness is a very, very sad,
I know I do it.
sad.
I tell you,
Was there-
in pretty good shape.
And I think it's not talked about. And I think if we do videos, it would be nice to offer it to a family or families who have been through this and maybe lost a loved one, because that heartache is there and it takes them to their grave.
Every question.
And I think people listen to that more than they do a doctor. I'm sorry. You have the floor.
I know, this isn't my committee.
I know.
That's why I was so persistent.
Go for it.
No, I recall, I don't think I ever saw that particular video that you're talking about. I heard a lot of good things about it. But it also seems like, this might just be something, a figment of my imagination, but that somebody was pretty critical about that and how they felt like this guy was being abused. Anybody else hear about that?
I can tell you that Joe Bush himself and his wife were very proud of the final product and happy that it was, got out there and really, as far as I heard, relished it.
Well, it's
The
probably
group-
just.
the video groups that-
You were dreaming.
You're probably just, yeah.
Yeah, you were
Wow.
dreaming.
He's
Okay.
pretty,
Go
he's just
watch the
hanging
video.
on.
I probably won't do
He's just hanging on right now, too.
Yeah.
In Syracuse.
Okay, so Lisa made that motion.
Yes,
Was there a second?
I'll second.
Go back. All in favor?
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Never.
Whatever you want.
Motion is carried. Anything else for the
Yeah,
good?
I'd like to bring up a motion on the floor, and it has really all, well, I guess you could put it under Health and Human Service Committee, but I would like to make a motion that we go out for an RFP find out how much it's gonna cost us, but I think it's gonna be a lot less now. Maybe our own highway crew, and we need to clean up the brick block. Build up and turn. I just got a text, EPA did not find any asbestos. Margaret Chung, or whatever her name was, the report came back, Ryan's got it. And I think we need to clean that mess up.
I just got a text as well. I don't think the report is out, but the indication from the EPA, they will have a formal written report with 24 samples that they took at the brick block, but it appears that there's no friable asbestos. Only thing that should be non-hazardous asbestos was minimal rolled roofing material. The formal report will be emailed by week's end. So it appears that the contents could be taken to the landfill without having to be treated as
Correct.
asbestos. So that is good news.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
So I'm putting a motion out to get it cleaned up.
I think for health wise, we should clean it up.
Kids are up there right now, kids are taking a break and building ramps.
I'll
No,
second.
Could I have a motion for?
Yeah, I did, I'm
Did
second.
you make the
I
motion?
made the motion.
I need a second.
I'm doing it.
You're not on the committee, honey.
I can't do that, I'm sorry.
When we,
Thank you,
when we do this, we would in turn charge the landowner.
I believe so.
Specify.
This is
not gonna be just as easy as taking the county highway trucks down there and filling them up.
No.
We're gonna have to contract with Dank, they're still gonna have to go through the process to segregate the asbestos, roofing, and it's, yeah, it's not as easy as just driving down there.
Could I suggest that we wait for the report?
Oh.
And then maybe at the board meeting, we should have it by then, and then we can bring it up again, and Greg can make the motion.
Mhm.
And also, the village had indicated that they would participate in this, so I'd like to reach out to the mayor as well.
But we could approve Greg's motion. And
Yeah.
send it to the full board too, so.
Okay,
Same thing.
Yeah.
so where are
This
we
is
at?
just committee.
Right.
This is not a board meeting.
Did you second?
Okay. So you won't, that way you won't delay.
Depending upon what the report
Just all in
actually
favor,
shows.
and then.
All in favor?
And I don't think the village should be,
Motion passed.
I don't think the village is gonna be, they don't have much money. What do you want? You wanna get a grant from them?
We want
I
all
don't
we
know.
can get, yes.
I agree that we should help clean the thing up, I'm just saying that it's
It's a community project.
complicated, it's more complicated than.
No different from my
Dank will take a look at the report and they'll,
That took.
write an RFP for us.
Yeah, and it took $2.5 million worth of taxpayer money.
No,
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn this committee. In a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
That's your favorite.
Are you sure?
The Finance and Rules Committee, I need a motion to approve the minutes that were sent out previously.
I'll move that.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Presentation, a quick discussion on the CNS concept phase.
So, I had a chance to talk
Time's
with.
up.
I promise to be fast today. I had an opportunity to speak with the chairs of all three committees, Andrea, Tom, and Jerry. And this is a big, thick report that you guys have. And we probably wouldn't do it justice trying to cram it into a committee day. What we'd like is to have a separate meeting sometime next week in the evening, a full meeting of the Board of Legislators with CNS, have them here and devote the time to this that it needs. Because what we need to do, well, not need to do, but what you have to decide is if you're gonna hire CNS to move forward with design phase, and we don't wanna delay that, because if you still want to potentially get everything out to bid in the fall, then they need to be designing all summer. So, we'd like to try to have a discussion about a date. We have thrown out the 21st, which is Monday at 5 o'clock. I know Lisa has a conflict for that. Are there other times that could work, Tuesday or Wednesday? Because I know some people are headed out of town the later half of the week. So could we potentially do Tuesday or Wednesday? Or if everybody's stuck on Monday, then we'll just have to go with the majority. But as long as everyone's agreeable to that, a separate meeting.
Tuesday, Wednesday's fine for me.
I have no
5
problem.
o'clock?
I have no problem with Tuesday. How about anybody else?
Lisa?
I'm free Tuesday,
That's
Wednesday.
Tuesday the 2nd.
No.
No,
22nd.
22nd.
That's primary day for anybody.
I don't have anything on there. I guess I'm available if anybody wants me.
Can we go earlier than 5? Can we do 4?
I can.
I can. How about anybody else? 4 o'clock?
Could I do by video?
Tuesday, 22nd.
Well,
5 would be better for me.
You think 5 would be better?
Yeah.
unless we're still in COVID. I think the elections.
I can either.
5, 5 is good.
That's good.
What's the specific topic here again? I'm sorry.
It's
Big
the,
pamphlet,
Oh, the CS,
No, that's,
the big one.
oh, the CNS.
Yeah, we're also
You'll
gonna
be
do
tested on it.
I wouldn't.
double plan.
So what are we looking at?
Were you at 4 or?
I heard multiple
There were
things
some
about
problems with 4, some people.
5 is better. Please,
5 is better, 4 could work, but 5 is progressing.
Is this gonna be, we're gonna be here a while.
Better order.
Later's better for me.
Ian said he's bringing a pizza.
We could order pizza. We've never done that before, but I think it'd be nice. For me.
I did
For you,
I did that one.
Chip in. I can chip in. That would be-
So 5 o'clock,
I
Tuesday?
just have a question though. This is a special board meeting, correct? So it will be open to the public? Okay. And there is other business that will be attended to that night?
Could be,
Any
I mean,
resolutions could
we
be
could
put up.
approve we were gonna get into this in a minute, we could approve the road patrol contracting it. But theoretically, if you reach a consensus that night, you could make motions and, move things along or just make some decisions,
Is that enough time for you to put it out to
Yep, I only have 48 hours.
Oh, for you.
So we're looking at 5 o'clock Tuesday.
Okay.
Sound good for everybody? Okay.
Should the public know if the pizza's for everybody or just for the?
We'll keep that quiet.
That cover that? Okay, the only other thing I bring up quickly, and I turned it over to Phil for a minute, he had brought up the idea, or I guess the question and there probably isn't much we can do, but a little bit of a discussion on sales tax on ATV snowmobiles that when they're registered to where a person lives, but they end up being used here, we get no benefit from it. And it's one of his constituents has brought that up to him, and like I say, there probably isn't much we could do, but
The guy that brought it up to me, he felt like we were losing funds on this. And I don't know. His opinion was every household's got an ATV or a boat or a snowmobile, and are we losing money on it? But the reply that we got from Jake sounds like probably we're not losing money on it. I don't know. And it is a state thing anyway. I mean, all we could do was ask the state to have home rule, so to speak. If you buy it here, you pay the taxes here on it.
Right. The big problem, though, is the fact that you can't register the UTVs in the state of New York,
But that,
and they're all buying them out of state.
and that's an additional issue. I understand that part, but, and he didn't want me to say his name, but the guy that brought it up said this is an additional issue on top of.
So
what
if
you
they
just
buy,
described.
if they buy ATV TISs, the sales tax doesn't come back here?
If, at the time that they buy it, according to what Jake said, at the time that they buy it, they can either have it local sales tax or where they're gonna use it. And so if somebody in Syracuse buys one, but they're gonna bring it up here, they could say, use Lewis County, as long as they have a mailing address. Well, they're not gonna have a mailing address probably if they're just coming up for the weekend type thing.
yeah,
So,
my understanding is where it's registered at, is where the sales tax would go. Even though you would use it here, you live in Syracuse, Rochester, that's where the sales tax would go.
That's how it is for automobiles.
Automobiles, right?
Yeah, I did some research on this issue and what flexibility municipalities have on it.
Mhm.
They don't have any. And the idea is you don't, at least with cars, because they're big ticket items, the problem that they ran into was price shopping from one county to the next, where 1%, that makes a big difference, but it might just be a wash in the end,
I'm kind of that opinion actually, based on what Jake told us,
Yeah.
you know?
If we
Are you
could-
of that opinion?
Well, I don't know the math behind it, but the other thing is, if you do, even if we could make a change, you don't know what 5 years from now, maybe a big dealership comes in who wants to sell these things and suddenly, well, I guess it wouldn't matter that much, but yeah, like maybe, it might end up being down the road that just the economic circumstances change about where people are buying them, or maybe they're ordering them online, who knows? We can't forecast that, so.
So TISs are the #1 Honda dealer in the state. So all that revenue stays here because when you buy an ATV, you're
You have to
forced to
register.
register here. So
Not if it's like cars though, if it's
But
car,
wherever, they have to have an address for the registration.
cars, you buy a car at the dealership and the sales tax gets charged back to your
home.
residence, right?
Right.
That's how it is for ATVs.
In our neck of the woods, a lot of people buy them for gambles and Fun Unlimited, which is in St. Lawrence, Jefferson and St. Lawrence County.
Mhm.
And that, I think that's what drove him to bring that up, because he is up in my neck of the woods. And that, we tend to go to those two places more than we would Terry Test. Now, I went to Terry Test, but,
So we'd have to petition the state for home rule.
I'm not even sure we can on this with sales tax,
Right.
but, I'll take a look at what
Well,
research you had in front of you.
apparently it's a state law that drives this
Right.
choice thing. you know? So it would have
So,
require
so
us
when-
to ask the state to change the law, you know, to help us out with it. If in fact it's even an issue, which I'm not entirely sure either. Your issue is the bigger issue.
Correct.
That's where we're losing most of the money.
That's where the state's losing money too.
Right, exactly, right.
Because now, you know, they're all progressing to UTVs that you can't register, so.
Right.
Buy them out of state.
And you ought to see them go by my place. You see the same thing, I know. Trailer after trailer of them, big rigs. You know, mine's 990 pounds, so I can register it, you know.
Right.
But, they're getting big, and there's a lot of them, and we're losing a lot of funds on those.
I don't know how that, I don't think we'd be losing on the sales tax so much, but I think we'd have to worry about, like, people from Boonville buying them at Terry Kiss's. Then we would lose.
Because they have a Boonville address, right? We would
That's
lose
sales
that,
tax.
yes.
You kind of need to change the whole regime statewide for it to, yeah.
That might not be fair.
Regime's a good word.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I appreciate the opportunity. He appreciates the opportunity that we would at least talk about it. Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you. I guess we're ready to move to dockets.
Okay, the first one is resolution amending the compensation plan of the county of Lewis with reference to the county clerk to create a temporary deputy county clerk position, grade 5, and authorize the county clerk to fill said position effective July 7th, 2021 through July 30th, 2021.
Questions or discussion? I think the reason behind this is that Jake has a retirement coming up and not sure exactly when. He wants to bring somebody in to train before the actual retirement.
That's only for a couple weeks. 23 days.
Roughly, right, yep. So it's like what Tom touched on, that the deputy county clerk is retiring, nobody in the office was interested in it, so, once I decide, I'll be bringing in an outside person, and I'll be looking for the approval so that the outside person would have time to cross-train with Carol before.
Oh, I got you. So Carol's still there till.
Carol, yeah, as she hasn't given her final end date, but it's gonna be somewhere towards the end of July, that's why, you know.
Gotcha.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution to approve and adopt the county vehicle use policy.
I have a question on that.
Okay,
I haven't seen, have you produced one?
Attached to that,
It's attached on the back of it?
yeah. Right after the resolution.
Does that include the sheriff's department?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Good deal.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Carried.
You're opposed, Phil?
I'm opposed. Nothing to do with the sheriff.
Resolution to transfer funds in the information technology accounts to supplement the capital data processing reserve and provide funds for the ongoing server replacement project in the amount of $115,000.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, aye? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution authorizing acceptance of American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 funds, creating a new capital reserve account, HAZ, American Rescue Plan Act, and appropriating the revenue of $5,107,690.
Questions or discussion? This is just setting up a separate account to keep track of that money.
Setting up a reserve, yep, and I did request the funds middle of last week, I'm hearing a week, 2 weeks, so we could receive them soon, and this just allows us to set up that reserve. And with, as we spend on a program, it would come back for further authorization.
All in favor?
Tom,
Aye. Opposed?
Phil has a
Tom, you
question,
got
Tom.
comment back there.
Phil has a question.
Oh, Tom, I had a question about the wording of this. It says that an additional resolution will be considered by the Board of Legislators for appropriation to each line item. But we are required to do that, not consider it.
Yep.
We're required to do a resolution to spend that money, right?
Only the legislators can appropriate new money into the budget. So what our plan here is that we're creating a capital account. We're gonna put all the money in the capital account, and when we're ready to spend it, it needs to be appropriated. And Phil's right that the legislators are required to appropriate funds. So if you wanna change that word from considered by the Board of Legislators to required, that would be.
Well, it seems like when we say considered, it's almost like it's an optional thing whether we wanna appropriate it or not. It seems to me like it's required. And I know that's picky, Larry, but that's me.
I'm fine with that.
It seems like required is a more proper use.
Okay, do we want to change that to,
We'll make sure it's changed before it goes out in the board packet.
all right,
Good catch, Phil.
so everyone in favor of that change, I'll say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You don't have any motions,
Nope, that's it.
anything else?
Can I make just a quick note on the American Recovery Act funding? And I promise it'll be quick. I was able to get together with NISAC a couple weeks ago, and there's been a lot of creativity and thought process about how all these counties are gonna claim these funds. What you do with it is the easy part, but how to claim them through the proper way. We have quite an easy way to do it. We have a rather large enterprise fund that is managed by Mr. Care, and we're able to show exempting state and federal revenue that 2020 showed some losses. So we can just basically use that as our justification for collecting the funds. So that's how we'll be submitting. It'll be easy all at once. We don't have to, there's a lot of counties that are very concerned about how they're going to show, some $20 million worth of, financial hardship. For us, it'll be quite easy. So
That's a good and a bad thing.
it's a good. I can't see if Jerry's smiling or not.
Tom, just one other thing that Caitlin and I can report to you that the road patrol, they voted on the tentative agreement we reached. So we will bring forth a resolution to the special meeting next week for the board to decide to sign on to that tentative agreement.
They voted to accept it.
Yep.
Good.
Would you bring up the DA thing maybe at that meeting too?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Phil.
The DA thing, the DA,
You want a resolution with what we're doing on that?
We're not, are we still recording? I'll fill you in on that.
well, that could be on the agenda for next.
Whatever we
If
have
that
that we can
resolved.
move forward, we'll try to bring at that meeting.
That's
Okay,
That's all.
gotcha. Yep.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn, Ron, second. Phil, adjourn.
Boy, Tom.
Yeah.